And now, live from Las Vegas, the Joey Ciccone Show. The Joey Ciccone Show. Connected.
Everybody, how you doing? It's Joey Ciccone here live in Las Vegas. You're watching the Joey Ciccone Show, Connected. Big surprise for you today, man. Big surprise for you today. You know we only bring you the best on the Joey Ciccone Show, Connected. Sitting right here to my right, we're getting started early, baby. We're getting started early. The real deal, of course. The real Tony Montana, okay? Let's give it up for him here, folks. I want you to chat in today. Tony, I want to welcome you to the show. It's just such a pleasure to have you. I've been waiting a long time to have you here in the studio. We get a lot of calls, you know, friends from back east, talking to guys from New York and Miami. Tony's been here in Vegas a long time. Chicago boy right here. Let's jump right into it before we talk about his new release on his book. And Tony, we're going to talk about your movie coming out. There's a lot that you're involved with, and I guess fate had it that we ran into each other last week. We've been in contact, but it was just nice to run into each other, and you're here. Remember, friends, chat into the Joey Ciccone Show on the World Center of Broadcast Media. Just hit that chat button. We're going to read them here. Tony's going to answer stuff for you today, okay? All right, if you know a little bit about his history, it's incredible. If not, you're going to be finding out today on the show. We got 1 hour to make it happen. What are you reaching for? You all right? No weapons or anything?
No.
All right, okay, good. All right, the bottom line is this. Tony, we're going to get right into some things. Tony, where did it all begin now? I know we've talked many times privately, but out of Chicago, right? What part of Chicago?
The Patch, which is...
the Patch, of course.
Yeah, the Patch, which is an area between Taylor Street, Roosevelt Road, Madison. And then picks up after Lake Street, it becomes Grand Avenue.
Exactly.
That's where all the Sicilians lived. And all the Neapolitans, Calabres, and Bruzzese lived in the Patch on Taylor Street.
Yavish, it's beautiful, man. Growing up there, obviously, right?
I was born there. I was born on Laughlin and Taylor.
And what high school did you go to?
Crane Tech.
All right, so right there, you probably have a lot of friends. Jill, you're in the house already. We're gonna, Jill, out of respect to you being a fan and showing me so much love, I just want to throw it right at Tony. Tone, Jill is a big fan. Is he the person Scarface is based on?
No, not at all.
Okay, now you see the real deal, and he talks from the heart. He don't make up stories. Okay, he just tells it the way it is. But the name, come on, let's talk about it. Okay, even though the gentleman, I believe, was someone from 1932, that it did come from.
Well, Joe
and Capone, but go ahead.
Joey, a lot of people don't realize that movie was made twice.
Right.
It was made with Paul Muni, and was called Scarface.
Right.
And the one with Al Pacino was also called Scarface. The only thing they changed was the product. When Al Capone had it, which was supposed to be at the period of that time, they were doing bootlegging. Then when Tony Montana came out with Al Pacino, they were doing coke. But the story's basically the same. They just changed the product.
It's the same story. So, Jill, there you go. We're happy to have you here today. All right. Out of all the connected guys, I mean, me and you talked about it, Tony, on the break, and I have to say this, and we'll get into everything for the fans, but you've been able to fly real low under that radar.
Well, that was by choice.
Okay.
Because
talk to us a little bit about it.
Well, when I was married and had my son, I did my work, but my family never knew what I was doing. Till this day, they never knew, until my book came out. And I kept it that way.
Right.
For example, if I would walk in a restaurant on Rush Street, which was the exciting area of Chicago.
I love it. I know it well.
And we go in a nice restaurant, my wife and I would go in there. There could be 5 wise guys sitting at different tables, and I know them personally. I did business with them, but I would never acknowledge any of them.
Right.
And that was the thing we always did. I would never bring any of them to my home because that was not the place to do it.
Gabish.
So that's why I kept there. I did my work, but I kept everything at home a different lifestyle.
And I read that it basically said Tony Montana's been able to fly under the radar and basically be in the life, but you can come on a talk show and talk about your career. You can put out a wonderful, wonderful book, Friends. This book, I just want to say, I've been tapping into it. Tony just signed a beautiful copy to me this morning. It means a lot to me. And Tony, you'll agree with me. It's not all about the life. There's elements of your life.
Correct. That's all about me personally. Yeah.
Okay, and that's important. From Chicago now, let's talk about this. As you were coming up and stuff, right, in Chicago, what were you dealing with? I mean, were you just the fans are going to be curious.
I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
And there was one of the street bosses named Fifi Pachuri. And he knew my brother because my brother was in the 42 gang with Fifi was in the 42 gang.
Sure.
And there was a bathhouse on the corner of Polk and Plana, and Fifi Pachuri lived right next door. He had his apartment right next door to the bathhouse, in those days, tenement homes. And he grabbed me when I was going to the bathhouse carrying my towel and a bar of soap because the bathtub at the house was never used for baths at home. It was either for gin, bootlegging gin, putting watermelons in there with the ice, or putting bacala, which is codfish.
Right.
So I always thought the bathtub was used for those occasions and not taking a bath.
Right.
So we had a bathhouse on the corner for 5 cents. We'd go there and take a shower.
Okay, so and you were coming up and you started.
One day I was on my way to the bathhouse and Fifi stopped me. My nickname was Tootsie Boy at the time. He said, "Tootsie Boy." I said, "Yeah," because he knew my brother Patsy. He knew my whole family.
Right.
He says, "Listen, I want to ask you something. How would you like a little job?" I said, "Doing what?" He says, "You know where the candy store is?" I said, "Yeah, the candy store was right next to my house." He says, "Well, across the street we have a building, which was a book joint.
Right.
And we want you to sit by this candy store outside for 3 hours a day because that's how long the track ran in those days.
Exactly.
And we'd give you $15 a day." I said,
Okay.
"Fine." We were talking about when I was 14.
15 was a lot then.
Well, yeah, because you can go to the movie show for 5 cents. So anyway, I accepted it. He said,
Right.
"All you have to do," he gave me a phone number, is go over there, and he says, "Stay there, watch it. Anything that's unusual, give us a call. Call this number, like too many coppers flying by around the corner too many times,
Right.
and give us a holler," which never happened. I've been there I worked there for 2.5 years, never had a problem. So that was my beginning. And then after that, Big Fat Leonard Cafano, Marshall Cafano's brother, who was with Mooney, Sam Giancana, they were partners.
Right. Okay.
Jim Oakes used to be the used to be the driver for Fat Leonard to pick up the Stush players. They had the card rooms, and they had car houses where you have to drop them off.
Right.
So what happened is, Jim Oakes come to me and he approached me. He said, "Look," because I was doing the candy store, and at that time Jim Oakes owned the candy store. He said, "Listen, I'm getting too much work. I can't handle this. Tony, would you like to pick up the players? I used to have to pick them up on Loomis and Madison in Chicago."
Right.
And I said, "Yeah." I says, "But I don't have no car, Jimmy." He says, "Don't worry about it. I'll give you." He had a 39 Ford Wall, which was gorgeous, torpedo back, and I just got my driver's license. You'll make $35 a day. They upped me. So.
Wow, man, from 15 to 35. I mean, we're talking.
But that was 2 years later.
Right.
So now I'm 16, and this was my intro to Fat Leonard. So Fat Leonard was on the corner of Polk and Plana. There was the restaurant there called DeLeggy's. The DeLeggy brothers had it, and that was Fat Leonard's headquarters.
Right.
So he's come out. He's walking down the store to see Jim Oakes one day, and I'm talking to Jimmy, and he says, "Oh, you're the one that's going to be doing the driving to pick up the players." I said, "Yeah." Some good luck. He said, "Take care of yourself, kid. You'll be okay." And that's how it started.
All right. On that note, Tony's just given us. I wanted to get the beginning of the history, how it starts. You got a little taste of it. We got our first break coming up. All right. You're watching the Joey Ciccone Show Connected. Tony Montana with me. the book, The Real Tony Montana, available. He's going to give us all the lay down on it. We've got questions. We got you guys chatting in. Joey Ciccone on the Connected Show. We'll be right back.